Earl, up top, rising, layup, good. It's a triple-double for Bella Earl.
Those matched up with a speedy guard. Great screen, spin move, layup, he missed it. Williamson fights for the board. His putback is good.
Welcome, everybody, to the Straight Out Whack podcast. Holy cow, it's been a long time since I've done one of these. It was like a long time, Daryl. It's been almost a year, I feel like, because we didn't really do a lot during the season last year. We did Straight Out Whack After Hours live shows. But yeah, first Straight Out Whack podcast episode of the 2025-26 season. And we did it on our Straight Out Whack After Hours live show the other night, where we picked whose team we were previewing this week. And on the women's side, it was the Southern Utah Thunderbirds. So obviously, we have head coach Tracy Mason joining us today live from Cedar City. And I just got to ask, did you guys get any rain last night? Because it downpoured up here in Orem and Utah County.
Yeah, we've had a lot actually throughout the weekend. Last night, I don't think so.
Okay.
I could have slept through it, but we did since I would say last Friday off and on. We've had quite a bit of rain.
Yeah, I played old man slow pitch softball last night,
Nice.
and luckily we won like 22-2 in our second game at 9:15. And just as we finished, it started downpouring, and so I was soaked when I got back to my truck. But getting rain is a blessing, I guess.
Yeah,
in the state
we need it. We need it for sure.
Daryl, we're
Could
back.
definitely use it out here. I haven't seen rain in months.
Well, that's what you get for living in California. So, speaking of where we live, Tracy, I know we've talked about this before, but you have to tell us. You love the mountains of Cedar City. You love that area. What is your favorite hike that you've gone on since you've been in Cedar City?
Ooh, that's a good question. There's so many of them. We just did the Narrows with the team this summer, and I actually had done it previously with the coaching staff because I have a super outdoorsy group that just are up for adventures. So I would say, like right now, I think that one was pretty cool. The first time we did it, there wasn't a lot of people. Jay's an early riser, so he has us up and out by 6 a.m. and getting there before there's even someone to check your pass at the park, which is great because there's less people around. But it's just awesome. I mean, I think the girls had a great time, just a cool experience. And we're trying to kind of show them, especially in the summer when we have some free time, just, the area and some different things. So when they have family come visit, there's places to go see. And so, yeah, it's been fun.
I guess the question is, since you got a variety of players from different areas, different locales around the globe, not just in the United States, but like all over, were there any that were kind of in awe of what the Narrows provided? Because I feel like for a first timer, it's a little, I don't want to say overwhelming, but it's a little like, wow, this is like real.
Yeah. Well, and there's that part when you first walk in where, you're holding your backpack above your head because the water's like waist deep. And we have, Bella, one of our sophomores, she has like this giant camera that she brought to take pictures. So of course they're all like, don't drop anything in the water. And no, it's pretty it's one of those places that you can see pictures, but you have to see it. And I feel like Zion's is the same. Like you have to see it in person to really kind of grasp and appreciate it. And so, but what's funny to me is like, we have a lot of people, I would say like from up north or whatever that have never been there and done it. So that's kind of fun too. It's like, I think sometimes when you live in a certain area, you're just kind of like, you get used to your day to day. And so you don't really get out and explore too much. So it's kind of fun just for all of them to get to experience it.
I was looking at those pictures on Instagram the other, like a couple of weeks ago when you guys did it. And I was, I'm looking at a trip to go out there for the New Mexico State home game because Utah Tech and you guys played New Mexico State on the same weekend. Right. And I was like, that's a hike you just have to take if you have the time.
Might be colder when you're there. Might be a little bit colder, but it's one of those things. Yeah, it's here. Like you got to do it.
I will admit, I've been in Utah for, what are we in, 2025, 34 years, and I still have not gone to most of the national parks in this state. It's like you said, I get just caught up in my.
No, man, you're missing out.
I know I am. My wife keeps telling me that we have to go camping at some of them and
Yeah.
go spend some time. I mean, Canyonlands is cool. Been there. A little bit of Zion. Driven by Capitol Reef, obviously, but yeah, there's so much to do in terms of the national parks. And Daryl, if you're inclined, I don't know if it's snow cap, and Tracy could confirm this in November, December. Cedar breaks, is that snow cap usually at that time and maybe closed up? Not there.
It depends. It stayed open pretty late last year, but yeah, it usually does. They close that road once we have a good storm. But that's a cool one too. I mean,
just a lookout,
like a little mini Bryce almost.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So with that being said, one other thing we talked about in our live stream or after it was asking you what it's going to be like to not have your daughter on the floor and coaching her this year, because Sam has now, graduated and is moving on. So
yeah. I mean, it's going to be different, I think, for sure. But I think, we've been together for 5 years. I'm excited for her and her kind of next journey. And she actually just started law school back in Knoxville. And so, I mean, I think it's time, it's hard for me just because she's been with me for so long, and it's like, okay, she's finally kind of leaving the house and growing up and all that. I think that's probably the tougher part. And I'm sure it'll hit me once we start playing and all that. But, I mean, I feel good about it. And I one of the things that I think I'm going to miss about her is like, she did have a great IQ and a good mind, and she recognized things on the court. And, I think sometimes she was helpful to me just with things that she would see. And so, that part I think is going to be a little bit tough to replace, but I'm excited about this team.
So I remember last year you saying she was also like the point person with a lot of recruiting visits and helping arrange that. Who's kind of taking on those chores?
Yeah, we actually, Ava does a great job with our recruits. We have I would say our freshmen from last year, we have 2 or 3 of them that have been really, really good and just easy to talk to. I think one of the things, like with Ava, she loves it here so much. I think it's easy and genuine, and you can feel that when you have a conversation with her. And so I think that's the biggest thing is, we talked about this yesterday in our team meeting. You come on as a recruit, sometimes they're quieter, sometimes they're more talkative, but you really got to make them feel comfortable and remember kind of the experience that you went through as a recruit. And so we're finding the right people that I think are doing a really good job.
I want to ask, in terms of recruiting, obviously it's a little changed with the NIL stuff nowadays. I mean, I don't know if it's different. Obviously it's different men and women, right? But like men, a lot of the talk now is players come in and say, how much can you offer me? It's not about the experience or the facilities or the tie into the community and stuff like that. Is it similar on the women's side, or is it like what's kind of the pitch? In terms of recruiting there in women's basketball.
I think we're getting there. I do. I mean, we talked about that this summer. We had quite a few phone calls where it was just like, that's kind of the first thing that comes up in the conversation. And to me, that's always a little bit of a red flag. I think the portal's tough anyways, because you're trying to quickly establish this relationship, get people on campus as quick as you can, and then try to get them signed as quick as possible. So it's tough because a lot of times these are players that are leaving because maybe they weren't happy at their last institution or whatever, the connection wasn't there. But then we're really trying to expedite that and do that same thing again. So I think for me, it's like, we got to find the right fit and the right people. And that's kind of how I've always felt about it. Like, I do love the high school kids because I think that's what creates your culture. And then it's easy to kind of, throw some portal players in there because they're going to kind of mesh into your culture that you've built. So I don't think we'll ever be in a place where we're taking, half our team from the portal. I just don't see that happening, but who knows? It's kind of the way things are changing. But I mean, I think for us, it's the tough thing is getting people on campus. And I think once they get here, our team just does a great job. I think not a lot of people have heard of Cedar City or been here or seen it. So, I think we have a great facility. I think it's a beautiful area. I think they get that college town vibe when they're here. And so usually when we get people on campus, I would say our chances are pretty good. It's kind of convincing them to get here.
And
Yeah.
what you've done nicely is you have a couple of high school freshmen, which in a lot of cases, a lot of coaches have abandoned high school recruiting almost entirely.
Yeah.
But I think they're freshmen that could, do some good things. Devin Kiernan, obviously a coach's kid from Southern California, is one that stuck out to me.
Yeah, no, Devin's doing really well. I mean, I would say our freshmen in general, like we have a really solid group. I am like super impressed with our freshman class from last year that are now sophomores, just kind of seeing the growth with them. And I think with the experience that they're going to get, obviously we graduated quite a few seniors and fifth-year seniors at that. And so I'm just excited because I think we haven't really been able to see, what the Sierras, the Denver, Anderson, like what these players can bring, and they're just doing great things on the court right now. So that is one of the things I love. I feel like the first, you come in as a freshman and really it's like we're trying to create new habits. We're trying to change things that maybe you've been doing for the last 4 years with high school, and like this is how we do it, and we have to rep it enough that it becomes a habit. And that's why I think it's important to kind of have that foundation of this is our culture. This is how we defend. This is what we do on offense. And your upperclassmen are teaching your younger classmen. And so I feel like our sophomore group really has that year under their belt where it's like they came back and they're just ready to go. And then the freshmen are coming along. Summer obviously helps a lot. Just summer, we just kind of try to drive home, just our fundamental stuff and how we close out, like all those little things that we can just rep and kind of try to ingrain in them before we really start up.
Have you ever had a roster as young as you have this year?
I don't think so. I mean, Sam
Max is the only senior on your squad, so I'm just like I'm looking at freshman, sophomore, and I think Dave is the only junior on the squad too, if I'm looking at that right. So
yeah, well, Ava and Charlie K from Australia, she's a junior. So yeah, I mean, it is a really, really young group for us. I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I think we've always had, more than one senior. So this is probably the youngest group.
You talked about, sorry, Daryl, I just want to ask one question. You talked about the change, and I know Daryl's probably wanted to ask this too, but from where we were at in 2022-23, when you guys won the WAC regular season and the tournament title, to now, where there's 7 teams and it's basically the last run for Southern Utah in the I don't want to call it the WAC because it's not going to be the WAC next year, but it's the last run for Southern Utah in the WAC, Utah Tech in the WAC, Utah Valley in the WAC, California Baptist in the WAC, and then you guys are going back to the Big Sky where where Southern Utah was originally. How does that impact? Or does it impact anything in how you prep and how you go out recruiting and how, I mean, your schedule, obviously you have to play every team 3 times in conference play. You had to put together maybe a little bit more non-conference games on the schedule. Like, I guess the mess that it's been from the last maybe 6 months of trying to figure that all out, what was going to happen.
I think for us, it was just a big question mark of like, what's going to happen after this year. So I think just at least knowing where we were going to be with the conference, whether it was, a WAC merger or the renaming of the WAC or the Big Sky. I think from a community standpoint, there's been a push to get back into the Big Sky just because I think from our point of view, travel is just a lot easier. I mean, I'll be honest with you, like we're flying out of Cedar. Most of the time we have to go up north, so it makes sense to go through Salt Lake. It's just travel is just a lot easier. So I think from a recruiting standpoint, like I felt like people were kind of using that against us because it was like, oh, well, they don't know where they're going to be. And so I think that's just knowing where we're going has been helpful from the recruiting side of it. I think I've enjoyed our time in the WAC. I think for me, I like seeing new places. And so it was kind of fun being in the Big Sky, going to the WAC, getting to see different things. Obviously, I'm forever grateful that we went to the NC2A tournament and that was part of being in the WAC. And so, I think it's going to be an adjustment for us. But I think from a recruiting standpoint, I do think the Big Sky, we are targeting, I would say, different regions now because they're going to get to see, they're going to get to play home games in that region. And so it changes up recruiting a little bit. I think for us, like we have a freshman from Sweden, like we're always going to kind of look at the international kids as well. And so we try to go all over the place and just see what's out there. And but I do think it helps when you can tell parents, like, we're going to be in your hometown, or we're going to be a 2-hour drive for some home games. That really helps.
Yeah.
You mentioned international recruiting. How hard is the international process versus, the process here of going to like these travel circuits and all those things?
Yeah, I think, it just depends. We obviously have some, just with Allison Fasnack on my staff, who was at St. Mary's. They did a lot of recruiting in Australia, obviously. And so there are the connections there where I feel like we've been able to get some players over here that haven't even come on a visit. And Nike Borg, who we signed from Sweden, she was kind of the same. It was just try to build that relationship. You're relying a little bit on film on both ends. We're sending videos of campus and the area, and she's sending us film and so on. And so, sometimes it can be a little bit of a guessing game because you don't always get to see them live. I did get to see Nike live because she played in a tournament over here in the US, but it can be a little bit of a challenge. But I just think, we gotta be broad with where we're looking and what we're looking for and trying to find the right pieces. And sometimes it makes sense for us to go find a 6'4" kid in Sweden who, if she's over here, she's probably got 30 schools that are recruiting her, but she's a little bit more hidden over there. And it just kind of worked out well for us.
Tracy, let's talk about someone that you need to step up this year, step into a role. You've had some players, Sharita, Megan, just over the years. Who's someone that kind of has to step into maybe that role to be the team leader? I know you have Ava, I know you have a couple others, but like maybe the scoring wise, who has to take over that role, even though usually you have a balanced roster, just somebody that you're looking to step into that role a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I think Ava's going to have a great year. I don't know if you guys have seen much of her, but she looks fantastic. I mean, she's in probably the best shape she's been since she got here, stayed here all summer, rode her bike to campus every day, was working out. So I think she's pretty motivated. I think with our seniors gone, like, she's really emerged as our kind of our head leader. Brooklyn Feely, I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, from Umpqua. She is a kid from up north who transferred in. Just unbelievable. I mean, she's very, very, very skilled and super athletic, just a great frame, strong, can kind of play a 3, 4, or 5, great in the post, can shoot on the perimeter, but she's been really, really good this summer. And then, in that sophomore group, I would really say, Sierra played backup point guard for us last year. She's doing a great job being a great leader on the floor. She just goes fast, and it's fun to watch. I think that was one of my gripes last year, was we said we wanted to be fast, but we never were fast. And I think Sierra understands the assignment, and she's making us go. And then, Denver Anderson, I thought, had a great summer, just doing some really, really good things. Courtney Doman, her sister played here several years back for me right when I got here. And she's just another one, just a great athlete and just a winner, competitive, loves to be in the gym. This group, and I feel like I say this every year, but this group loves to be in the gym. Like, they really, really do, more than any group that I've been around. So, and it's just a high energetic group. I think some of it, I loved our seniors last year, but you have fifth years that have kind of been around the block, and I've done this, and I've been here, I've done the warm up, I've done all the shooting drills, and I remember as a senior, you get like senior year, you just want to play games. That's it, And so I think we just have this new energy where people are just fired up for practice. They're fired up for weights. They're fired up to go shoot. Like, it doesn't matter. They're just excited to be in the gym. So it's been really fun.
Who's the strongest on the team in terms of the weight room?
Ooh, I would say I'm kind of guessing here, but I would say it's Brooklyn Feely or Olivia Malfu. Via and she's another one. I mean, gosh, she didn't play much last year, but she is just been a monster this summer. So excited for her, but she's extremely strong. I think she broke the squat record as a freshman last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Looking at the schedule you're going to take on in the non-conference, obviously a pair of WNIT teams make the trip to the AFAC. You get to make a Christmas trip to California with the LMU tournament. just kind of highlight a couple of spots on the non-conference schedule people ought to keep their eyes out for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. I think having Washington State at home, I think, is a really cool thing for us. Obviously going to be a tough game for us, but I love that, we get to play them early at home. I think that'll be fun. I think the girls are really excited about the tournament at LMU. I think that's going to be a fun place for us to go just with the California kids that we have now. And, I think it's a place where we'll be able to bring some families in, and I think we'll have a good crowd there. I think Cal Poly, the same thing. I think we have people that are excited to be there. Boise will be nice. Get Ashley, our senior, back home to play in front of her family and get her fans there. We try to do that. I think a lot of schools try to do that, but we're excited to kind of give her a little homecoming up in Boise. So, I think we continue to have a pretty tough preseason schedule, and that's just kind of what we've always done. But I'm excited about it.
Okay, what was Ashley's reaction when he told her you guys made the Boise game happen?
Well, if you know Ashley, she's pretty even keel. She's not too high, she's not too low. She's just but she was definitely excited. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you feel about having to play everyone 3 times in conference play? I mean, I know it was like Daryl and I talked about. It's kind of a have to situation, right?
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
with 7 teams in the league, and you got to fill out an 18-game conference schedule.
right.
How do you feel about that? And then the fact that the really the biggest one that matters out of all of it, and I shouldn't say, well, yeah, the biggest one that matters, even though being the 1 and 2 seeds matter this year in terms of the WAC tournament, but the biggest one that matters is always going to be that 4th matchup this year. I guess in your mind, how does that? Is it just we got to go out and play the games and?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the approach. I think the tough thing with playing teams so many times is there's going to be that chippiness effect after 1 or 2 games, because usually you kind of see that the first game, second game, everybody's got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and then you're going to go play again and then potentially play a 4th time. So. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think we're going to see the exciting part about it is going to be the adjustments. I mean, people are going to obviously have to make adjustments, and how does that work, and how do people do things differently? And so I think we're going to have to. You can plan, but I think there's got to be there's going to be that surprise. I feel like there has to be that surprise factor. If you're playing someone 3 times, unless you're super successful, you're probably not going to do things the same every single time. So. I think some coaching is going to come into play, and that'll be fun. But I do think you're going to see that little chippiness.
Yeah, it'll be
Which
interesting.
I love, by the way. I think that's fun too.
Speaking of which, I have to ask this. So you're going to the Big Sky. Southern Utah's going to the Big Sky. So is Utah Tech. And I'm going to ask JD Gustin the same question, and Dan Nielsen. Are we still going to see Southern Utah and Utah Valley in non-conference games when the change happens after this year?
I hope so.
That's a great rivalry game.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it makes sense. I mean, I would love to have played, the last few years, Weber and Utah State, and we tried, and it didn't work out. But hopefully, we can make that happen. I think initially there's always that battle of who gets to play at home first. So I think, Avid is kind of taking over some of the scheduling, and I think they're kind of battling right now over who gets to host first. But we'd love to continue that. I think Dan's a great coach, and I have a lot of respect for him. So I think it'd be fun.
We could just say whoever wins this season's series
gets to host the first one.
Hey, that's a great idea.
Series hosts the first one next year.
That's a great idea.
I'll put that in Dan's ear too when we talk to him.
You talked about your seniors and 5th years from last year. Obviously, how excited were you for Dayla to get her opportunity to play internationally?
I'm pumped. I think she just got there yesterday or the day before. I think for someone like Dayla, she's a little bit of a homebody. We were blessed to have her here for 5 years, and I think this has kind of became home for her. And so this is a big move for her. I think this is really outside of her comfort zone, and I think it's going to be the best thing for her. I hope it's a great experience. I think she's got a lot of basketball ahead of her if she wants to stick with it. And I don't know if you guys know, she was an engineering major. And so she did, she was kind of working at an, kind of in her field. And so I think it's pretty cool that she's not ready to give up on the sport yet. So I'm just excited to see. I think she's got a lot of talent, and, I think it'll be good for her.
I think it's awesome when I hear, student athletes, that are getting engineering degrees or getting other degrees that can lead to law or medicine or, business, something, because a lot of times you hear some athletes or a lot of athletes go to the exercise science or they go to this, something. And so it's cool to see the balance there that they have to go through to get that type of degree. So
absolutely.
Very impressive. Tracy, I got one last question for you. We've taken up some of your time. And Daryl, do you have any other questions before I ask this question?
No, go right ahead.
Okay. So we were wondering how you determine whether or not to wear high heels or flat-soled shoes when you coach, because you're what, 6'3", 6'4"?
No, I'm probably 6'2".
Okay, 6'2". Yeah. But that's got to be a lot of walking on high heels during games. So we were curious how you determine what type of shoe you wear on game day.
Well, this year, I think, or this past year, we did a little bit more of on the road. We didn't dress up. At home, we dress up. It's been that they laugh at me because I'm like, it feels weird wearing practice clothes to a game. It just feels weird. So we'll probably always dress up at home unless they keep in my ear trying to convince me. I don't know. It kind of depends on the pants I'm wearing. Are they long? Are they short? I like clothes, so I'm kind of into cute stuff. So if it looks good with the outfit, then I'm going to wear it.
Nice. I do have one last question. Katie Clayman, she was one of your assistants for a few years.
Yep.
What did you give her any advice when she had her son, when they had their baby boy?
Ooh, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think Katie was pretty ready. She was excited. She actually came by, she brought him by it was over the summer, but she was in town visiting. And so she brought the baby by, but no, I think she's ready. I'm actually shocked she doesn't have another one yet.
That's a great response.
Yeah. She's got good family. And I know her mom was helping out quite a bit. And so she's got a lot of people that I think are giving her good stuff. So
I think sometime in the future we need a High Point, Southern Utah double dip between the men and the women, since Flynn coaches their High Point men and Katie's on the staff with. So I think we need a Cedar City type reunion here at some point.
That would be fun. Yeah.
I'm just throwing out scheduling ideas. So any coaches that are out there watching,
well, in a way, isn't it like your staff, you've had a couple of assistants leave and then come back. So first thing when I saw a couple of those returning assistants was that Bon Jovi song, Who Says You Can't Come Home? That's kind of what I was thinking in Southern California.
I'm big on trust in my circle, and Abbott has been just amazing having him back. I mean, that guy he loves the sport. He works his tail off. I have to kick him out of the office sometimes because he loves it. And it's been great having him back. And then Tamia, she came for a little bit. She actually went back home to pack up, so she's on her way. So, we're just kind of trying to recreate that NC2A feeling again and get that been here, done that kind of vibe. And Tamia and Abbott have a ton of energy. They make practice fun. They make just time with the team really fun. So I'm excited about that.
Okay, last question. Who's the biggest smack talker on the team?
Oh.
I should say, we're going to go with players and coaches combined. Who is the biggest smack talker? It doesn't even have to be on the court. It's just for some competitions or anything.
I mean, it's definitely Ava, and it's probably me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Tracy, we appreciate the time. Good luck this season. I know it's right around the corner. What would you say, 70 days or so, Daryl?
Just under 70 days.
Jeez.
I think it's 68 or 69 or something like that.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh, well, enjoy. Well, the summer's basically over, so I guess enjoy the start of fall. Fall colors are going to be coming in the style in those canyons, so I know you're going to be.
I'll be posting those pictures for you guys.
Absolutely. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Straight Outta Whack podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Straight Outta Whack podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcasting platforms. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember to follow Whack Hoops Nation on all your favorite social media platforms.